about is if we answer one but not another, that's one of my questions or concerns. The other is there a chance that there's going to be dialogue going back and forth, which it's public comments, not public dialogue, which meetings could go very long if we did something like that. And then the other concern I would have is if we go into a lot of dialogue, because maybe I say one thing, but then some of the people on the board disagree with what I said, because that's start going to bring a dialogue within the board itself. So those are my concerns. Yes?
So in terms of that, it's audience participation. It's their opportunity to say what they have to say, and if you can answer, you answer. There's going to be times you're not going to be able to answer. There's going to be times you may get beat up, and usually it's on one issue. There's going to be times you're going to have to say, it's a personnel issue. We cannot violate the rights of an employee and share that information. For example, it's your time and more time to respond if appropriate. We don't respond. You are our spokesperson, as is Mark. We don't respond. We don't get into a dialogue back and forth. That's not our time to do that. If we want to then take an issue and ask you then, under other business, that, you know, that person brought up a good point, I'd like to know more about it, can you put it on a future agenda? We can certainly do that. But in my experience, in the 20 years plus that I've done it, I have never seen it turn into that kind of thing, because the board members aren't allowed to, and you're not supposed to. It's their time and it's your time to respond. And you know, there have been times that people have brought things back and said, you know, I want a little more information on that myself as a board member. You have the right to do that, but it doesn't, you know, very rarely are there issues that are that we can't answer. You know, there's times that there's an issue in the community that stands out, that causes angst, you know, and we have to deal with that. You have to deal with that whether you answer it or you don't. You know what I mean? And to me, it just seems like it's in our best interest. This is a good board. I just feel like we could do this.
Okay, one thing I want to bring to that with the question of, if they ask something, do we wait until they're completely done with their time so we're not going into a back and forth? Because let's say they ask something about the star on the podium. I'm just going to give an example. There's a star on the podium. And they ask why that is, and I give an answer. Then in return, they're going to do another question about it. That's what we should be avoiding. So that's my question is, do they say all their questions and they're done, and then I reply, if there's a reply to them, and then that's it? Because otherwise we're going to be going back and forth, and that's not what public comment is.
Well, it's your responsibility to manage that. So I'm the person that said, you know, why is that star silver? You can say it's because it was the first one that we wanted to be silver. Well, Mr. President, I think the blue one ought to be. And you can say, you know, I've answered to the best of my ability. You know, you asked a question, that's my answer. Thank you. And you put an end to it. There's times you might have to put an end to it. It's not going to happen all the time, but it might happen. You know, you might be in the hot seat off and on. You know, it's okay though. You know, it's few and far between, especially right now with the way things are going. I just feel like it's a good opportunity to be as transparent and open as we can and continue to build our trust with the community and with the staff.
So once again, would it be, if you were suggesting this to happen, would you suggest they ask all their questions and then that would be it? Because like I said, they're going to ask one thing, they're going to ask another. And then the question also comes about the 5-minute rule. Are we pausing when they question and I answer? Because like I said, this could become very long board meetings potentially. So.
Not necessarily. They have 5 minutes to ask their questions. You can say, is that the end of that topic? Or do you want, you know, I think it's going to be how it flows. I might say I have 3 questions. I'll ask them, and can you answer them accordingly? And if I run out of time, then I can get back up. You know, but again, in the time that I've been here since September, there's been no more than 10 people in the audience. So I don't feel like it's going to be extending our board meetings. And in truth, Derek, if it turns into be a problem, you can always bring it back to discuss it and to change it and tweak it however you feel it's precedent would be in the board's best interest for us to, you know. I just feel strongly about this. I'm one person, but I do feel as elected officials, we are responsible to answer to our voters. So.
All right, I'd like to hear from, oh, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. So I can appreciate the dialogue around it, and I do think everyone, including the community, has very valid points as to why communication should be a flow, and transparency is definitely important. But I am not a proponent of changing this and or public comment, just because I stand by what MASB, the lawyers, and the Michigan Municipal League have called for us to do. And I think it's very important, even in controversial situations, which we know that we don't have any now, but I think in the work that we all do, they are bound to happen. I think flip-flopping the rules can subject us to some scrutiny as well, and that'll make people feel like we're subjectively picking when and when not to implement this rule. To your point, I think having that flexibility is nice, but I also think if people know what to do and when to do and what to expect, I think that is the best way to go. I also think, like me being a retired president, that it's very hard being in that role and managing your emotions when those controversial topics come up. And so I think that rule protects us in a way where our natural humanness comes up, and it's a very heightened and emotional situation. And if you have something you can refer to and have time to sit back and think and give a well thought out answer, I think that's what's best for everyone, even though that might not be exactly what everyone wanted at that time. So I'm gonna stick by having it the way that we currently have, but also I can appreciate flexibility. The board is doing really good right now. We're in a good space as a district with the community. I fear that when the time comes that may change, just because of the nature of the work that we do, that we would appreciate having something in place like that as a safeguard. And I think that is why MASB, Michigan Municipal League, and the attorneys are in favor of keeping it as public comment and not a back and forth dialogue. I'm complete.
Okay. Okay, I'd like to hear from this side. Who would like to go first? This is definitely everybody has to give something on this one. I'm sorry.
I can go. So for me, you know, sitting as an audience member for a bit and not having, you know, people come up, people that show up, people that come here that don't typically come here don't understand the rules. They usually have something simple and quick to ask, and to be stared at and just say thank you when you come up over a simple question, I think that's ridiculous to me. I get where MNSB is coming, and we could have, you know, an issue, you know, they're trying to protect us and whatnot, but there's so many questions that come up, and they come up lately, that it's just a simple answer. And, or you, as simple as saying, you know what, I appreciate what you just said, let me just do a little bit more investigating, I will get back to you, not just say thank you. More often than not, you're probably gonna say, I appreciate what you just said, let me get this right, this is what you want, I will give you an answer. You know, I don't know, I feel like we need to say something, we need to acknowledge people. I want to be very transparent and open to everyone. And when you were sat on the board for all those years, did you guys answer questions?
The board president did,
Right.
and it did not turn into a dialogue. Even, I mean, you know, it didn't. It didn't. It did not. You answer. I mean, there's times if you're not careful, it can turn into a debate, and finally you just have to say thank you. You're as a board member, you're giving the best as the board president. You're giving the best answer that you can, and at the time with your information, and oftentimes, in fact, most times, it's the superintendent that is answering. They run the district, they know the ins and outs, and most often he or she has that answer. And that's usually what I would do, would turn to the superintendent and say, you know, can you reply? But it was, you know, there are times that it could turn into, well, what about this? Well, what about this? Well, what about this? And you have to just say, you know, thank you, I've answered to the best of my ability. If I can get more information, I will, you know, and it's done. I mean, you can only say so much.
Right.
But, you know, I do feel, again, that with MASB and the attorney, they are protecting us. What do we feel? I don't understand that concept, to be honest with you. Why do we feel we have to be protected? What are we being protected from? You know, if we can't answer, then we say it's a personnel issue. There's nothing else that we need protection from. We are doing what comes before us. We are responding to what comes before us. We are running the district the best way that we can. What are we afraid of? I always would say that to the attorney. I get you're trying to protect me from what? You know, from what? A lawsuit, but that's when you say it's a personnel issue. Yeah, sorry.
Sorry. So, to your point though, so you're originally saying Derek is gonna be the one responding, but then you said the superintendent responds a lot. So now we're putting also Mark. in
No,
that
it
situation.
has always been the two.
Okay.
Always.
So, I don't wanna put him on the spot, but then I don't want him to be put on the spot, not comfortable answering questions.
I 100% agree with you. Mark, how do you feel about that?
Well, I didn't want to ask him that because I didn't want to put him on the spot because I don't want him, and I don't think you should answer that.
You
I
don't
don't-
see.
I don't
I feel
know.
like you should. I feel like you should. He probably. Haven't you ever seen him go?
Oh, I know.
And then sit
I
back
know
and
he
go,
does.
oh
I
yeah,
know.
I can't. You know.
Yeah, he does hold back a lot, or
Yeah.
everybody goes after and talks to people after. So
Right. Taking more of his time when he could answer right here at the meeting.
Trustee Gator?
Yeah, and once again, I can respect the dialogue. Going back to what you shared, I think you bring up a valid point. When it's something that is a simple matter, it does feel like we should just be giving the answer. But I think we run the risk of being subjective, and then in times where it's like, if an audience participator or commenter is asking us a question and we can't deliver on the answer, the reply may be, you're the board president, you're the superintendent, you are here to know this stuff. Why don't you know this stuff? And sometimes we are not given the grace of like going back, having well thought out responses and delivering it in an accurate way. So I just wanted to counter that respectfully, that yeah, it does seem that simple, but when you're in those positions, you are expected to know what you know, when you know, at the time that it's being asked, and a lot of times those roles are not given grace.
I get
And it
that.
can be a public scrutiny, if you will, if you don't have the answers that are being demanded, whatever that may be.
Right, I understand that. But we're being criticized now, right? Like every meeting. Why can't you guys just tell me the simple answer? So either way, you're gonna have it, and not everyone is gonna be happy. It's just you're not gonna make everyone happy.
Yeah, and I wanted to counter maybe something that Mandy said as well. What are we protecting ourselves from? In these roles, we are elected officials, but we are also human. And so it protects us in our humanness from having these potentially hot-headed, emotionally charged responses, regardless if it's a small, simple, quick something to do or something more controversial and legal. In our humanness, when you're in these roles, we have emotions too, but we are elected to put our emotions on the back burner and do what policy is stating us to do or whatever else is our board governance at the time. And so that's why I appreciate that protection, because in our humanness, we are amped to make mistakes and lead with emotions instead of leading with policy.
Trustee Dyroff?
We're gonna banter back and forth all night on
All
this.
night.
And this is a great example of public
Put it
versus.
to a vote.
Because emotions come out even in our voting and things that we bring forward. It is part and parcel of our role. I don't disagree with that one iota, but I've seen that happen in motions that have come forward. So it's not just public participation. I don't understand why we can't ask Mark what he thinks, because he would be responsible in public participation to answer. So I am in favor of hearing what he says. And maybe he's gonna say, no, I don't wanna do this, I think it should be, thank you, and I can respect that. I would like to hear what he has to say, and that's okay with everyone.
Good answer.
I just didn't want to, you know.
Mr. Superintendent, you can speak.
So, I also see both sides of this, there's no question. And there are times where I go like that and I gotta step back. The issue that we have, and Mandy, you said it perfectly, respond if appropriate. So, I would be in favor of modifying this language to make that crystal clear. Because there certainly, as we've all stated, times that we absolutely cannot. And I mean, I feel comfortable with saying we cannot comment on that. But I've also seen public comment turn into board attacks in my career being a superintendent. And I certainly don't want to get it to that point where we're trying to defend someone that's really going after board members. We've had to do it, we've had to gavel, we've had to shut down and do that kind of stuff, but that's my worry. If we could come up with a middle ground, if appropriate to comment, I certainly would be open to that kind of discussion, that kind of dialogue, but understanding that I mean, we could try it for a couple meetings and things go south and we might have to go back and say we can't respond at all. Again, I have had in my years of being superintendent discussions with Collins of Blaha, along with MASB in regards to this issue of what it is. And what they keep saying is sometimes people think that Board of Education meetings are public meetings, when in fact they're a Board of Education business meeting held in public, and there's a section for public comment. So, so there's a balance there, and if we could find that balance, I don't know, we might develop something that maybe other boards could look at. But it would have to be, when appropriate to respond. There would have to be language built in so that, right, people need to know the rules, that if they do ask a question that's not appropriate, then we certainly, can't respond to something like that. So I would be in favor of trying to wordsmith this, find a middle ground, give it a shot, see if it works. If it doesn't, we back up. You guys are the board, you can make the rules, you can change the rules, anytime you'd like. We do have to check board policy to see what it says in regards to public citizens participation, public comment, to make sure that it matches if we're going to move in that direction. But
This doesn't match.
yeah. So we would have to make sure we're going to do that. So yeah, I would be in favor of some type of structure that allows some leeway with that.
Trustee Gator?
I would like to present a motion.
Wait.
Oh, I didn't know if
No,
anyone else.
I think we're still.
We're still discussing.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, well, hopefully we are.
So I would be in favor of it being back the way that it was before. I don't even know what the rule is, but it was like a lot of mystery rules, and it was like maybe 6 board meetings in a row where the rules just kept changing and new things were being added to the statement. And the original way this was pushed to the public, it never felt like this was coming from the attorneys and this was coming from MASB. It felt like there were certain people you didn't want to talk to or you didn't want to interact with, and this was pushed to stop that interaction. It never felt that it was something from an audience member perspective when this stuff was being implemented. It felt like personal messages being sent to specific people in the audience. Like I remember it like the back of my head, and to paint it as if it's this glory thing that's here to save us all from lawsuits or back and forth banter with the public. It's not. I've watched these meetings for as long as they've been recorded. I went back and watched them, and I've seen I did see some of the things that were board attacks. And for all of those years, you responded to the people at the podium. When a certain group of people came to this podium, that's when the rules got changed. So I don't like the narrative that it was like put here to protect people when I know firsthand that it wasn't. So I would like to see it go back, and then I would like to see more discussions like this where we do show the public why we're putting these rules in place, and we are transparent about how we're answering them, what things we're going to answer them on, why we're not going to answer them on, because that's the way it should have been done from the beginning. So I think because it was never done correctly to begin with, that it should be the way it was always done for all of those years until we can work with Mark and as a team to establish new protocols and procedures and policies related to public comment and or audience participation, whatever we're going to call it.
Trustee Nelson.
I have gone back and forth about this issue because I feel like the only other thing I can compare our meetings to is like the council meetings, and we're like on two opposite sides of the spectrum. We as a body don't answer, and then they do, and it kind of turns into like this whole thing. However, I do agree with Mandy that we should be answering our questions to our constituents, our parents. Most of the times they're just questions that we can simply answer, and most of the times Mark has those answers. You guys have both such good arguments that I'm just like hopping back and forth, and I'm like, damn, like you guys are really good. Like you guys are really strong arguments. And so I am in favor of having like a middle ground because, you know, our president is chosen by majority. And, you know, until our president, if I was the president, until I did something wrong, we're all supposed to believe I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and you guys have my trust, and you guys have my, you know, you guys know that I am gonna do my best and, you know, not get emotional and be straightforward. And I have that with President Wall. And so, you know, all I can do is trust President Wall, trust superintendent that they're gonna make the right decisions, or they're gonna say what they need to say as best as possible every time. And, you know, I guess judgment is what I mean, like having good judgment when we need it, you know, when it comes to something controversial. But most of the times, like we said, it's not even that. So I'm in favor of having a middle ground, being able to, you know, you guys engage with our community and answer simple questions, but also trust that you guys have good judgment and will make a good call when, you know, it might be a personnel issue or it might be something that we shouldn't, you know, even go near. So yeah.
Thank you. Thank you to everybody. Nobody called out for only saying thank you once.
I'm in favor of Mark's suggestion of,
Rewording and
yes,
trying to figure something
yes,
out.
wordsmithing it.
I kind of see that's
Stop
kind
to
of how
go get
everybody's
it.
kind of feeling. So,
Yeah.
Yes.
okay, so since this is an actual motion, we can then give Mr. Hands a homework assignment.
Yeah.
I would like to just add, I really appreciate that. I appreciate what everyone has had to say, and I agree, this is a really good dialogue to have at a board meeting where everyone hears us, everyone hears the different opinions, and we come to some sort of conclusion. It's a really good, healthy discussion.
Can I ask a favor?
Sure.
Could I ask board members to look at item number 14, embrace what it is we've discussed, and send to Mr. Wall or myself, like I made the note, respond if appropriate, looking for that kind of meaning in a statement. And then also, in the meantime, you guys don't know this yet, but we have a new policy chair. Latanya.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. She took that on. We can look at policy too to make sure. So, but could you guys send me some ideas or send it to Mr. Wall and then he'll get it to me?
Yes.
We'll leave this on discussion for the next meeting. We'll try to wordsmith and get something together so that we can come up with a plan to kind of a middle ground to look at this.
Yes.
Go ahead. I think you're going to read what I was going to probably think, but go ahead.
Well, we'll see. In the meantime, can you respond if you feel it's appropriate?
Are you talking about for today's meeting?
I mean, give it a shot.
Not that scary.
Even if it's thank you, but even
Yeah,
if
no,
it's
exactly.
even if it's not thank you, I'll get back to you.
Okay, we're going to try it. We're going to try it for this one.
We're
So,
not gonna ask you off of today.
I'm gonna ask.
We're all gonna ask them, but it's not a good test.
Yeah.
Not a good simulation.
Right.
Not today. Today's gonna be really smooth.
I'm
I'm certainly comfortable with that.
But the next meeting.
All right, I'm sorry, thank you.
All right. No, the only thing I was gonna think that you were gonna ask about is, we have 2 weeks. Is there any way that we could have submissions by Monday of next week? So that way that gives us the weekend too. And that way that gives time for me to forward that to Mark.
Yeah.
So by April 8th,
Let's see.
April 8th, no, April 8th. I know that.
We
Monday
need,
Monday is the 8th, yes.
we need to do the agenda on the 15th, so, or, yeah. So, the 8th, perfect. No, next Wednesday.
That's what, that'd be the 10th.
Yeah,
We did it to you on the
Okay.
8th, and you can do it on the 10th.
Right.
I was ahead of myself. Yep, thank you.
I like the middle ground approach. I have faith that we'll
Yeah,
get it.
I should make that up too. We got your back there,
In Mark,
and Mark.
in future.
If you said anything off the rails, don't you think we'd all go, hey, hold on.
Right.
This is the reason why.
See, that's.
Do like this?
Yeah, but,
It's gonna go fine.
for some reason, something's flashing on you.
You'll
The lights are
do fine. You'll do fine.
I swear I'll
Hit a
be.
buzzer.
Shut it down.
Oh, yeah.
Not yet, set it great. It's great. It's only fair.
Now, that was just item number 14 on that, and we've been about 30 minutes on that. Do we want to talk about the other ones?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm fine with everything else.
I'm fine with combining 16 and 18.
I am too. Yep.
And then I think it was 6, so yeah, that's fine too.
Yeah, I don't feel, me personally, I don't feel like 6 really needs to be in there, but how's everybody else feel?
I don't feel 6 needs to be in there.
Okay, we're getting a majority on that one, so.
And then I'm okay with combining 16 and 18 as well. I feel like they kind of go together. And then I had also added, after you move on from that, I had one more.
Yeah, I'm fine with removing 6 and combining 16 and 18.
Okay. Okay, and I
And
think,
the other one that I had was that all board members, kind of like how we're encouraged to pursue continuing education, we're encouraged to pursue a relationship with the superintendent. I don't know if you feel that needs to be said. It came up under when we were discussing how we send our questions in and do we get to talk to him ever and that kind of thing. I feel comfortable with that, but I didn't know if it needed to be a norm. You know, I wanted to at least throw it out there for conversation. I feel comfortable with it.
well, I'll let you, go ahead, Trustee.
So I was just in a CBA for student achievement yesterday, and professional development for board members was a highlighted topic. And it, it varies per state to state. Some states mandate that you have to do professional education. Some of it is based on like your student achievement numbers and everything. And so it was encouraged that we have something like that as a part of the board governance that we operate.
With regards to, you're talking about like number 19?
Continuing education.
Continuing-
When I think
No, I
of
agree
pursue,
with that. Oh, no, I agree with that. I'm
Okay.
saying pursue, like it says
I
here,
was-
encouraged to pursue.
yeah.
I was saying in another norm.
Oh.
All board members are encouraged to pursue a relationship
Oh, I
with
see.
the superintendent.
I see what you
Some
mean.
sort of wording like that, so that we all feel
see.
comfortable that you can pick up the phone and call him.
Encouraged to pursue.
Yeah.
Yep, another.
You know,
Gotcha.
I mean,
Okay.
I feel comfortable doing that but it came up, to remind you, under when we were discussing questions and how they come to the board table. Going through the president first, getting some answers in advance of the meeting, so you kind of know what you're walking into. So as does the superintendent. I don't know if you feel it needs to be in there or not, but it did dawn on me at that time. Does everyone feel comfortable?
I like
Able
that.
to do that?
I like that.
So let's get to 19, you could even add on there to 19, and working relationship with superintendent or
Yeah.
something, which would indicate, oh, okay, we need to,
Yeah.
because it says all members of the board. So if we were to put something like, are encouraged to pursue continuing education and a working relationship with superintendent.
Yeah.
Now that's,
You got it.
it's based upon their definition, but hopefully that means that, oh, maybe stop, set something up once a
Yeah.
month to follow up.
Sorry, I misinterpreted.
Oh, your problem.
So that sounds good, like that, that's
I like
nice.
that.
Okay. Sorry, I've been running all day today.
Okay.
All right, anything else with the norms to cover?
We did it almost. Good. Good.
Good discussion.
Okay, so I think we're up to.
Mary Beth comes back and
I know.
adds the
that's
monkey
always-
wrench. We're in trouble.
I did not. Oh, you're saying.
So the next item under superintendent's report is the building and site committee update from March 20th. And the reason why we wanted to add this up front is there will be action items that relate specific to this on the agenda. As you guys know, in my Friday report that I sent out, not this past week, it's spring break, but the week before, I did include the two engagement letters from Esserman, and we want to make sure that you guys understand. And I kind of explained that a bit, but that you're very clear. So would you like to chair the committee, President Wall? So go ahead.
So for the Building and Site Committee, we met on March 20th. We started at 6:03. Present was myself, Trustee Sterlini, Superintendent Mr. Kleinhans, and then from the community we had Virginia Morgan and Pat Gredka. Not present was Trustee Beltowski. For the old business in the Univent project, what we did review is that the plan is to start on June 16th with the heating and cooling at Bedford and the heating at Polk and Pardee. The committee agrees to forward a recommendation to the board, which would be coming today, for approval of Erzman to complete the project management and a request for proposals for the following: air conditioning for Polk Elementary and air conditioning for Bedford Elementary. The second item was the Annapolis High School Auditorium AC. There was a walkthrough on February 3rd with Erzman for the electrical and Peter Basso for the mechanical, and that was in preparation for an RFP, request for proposal. The third item was the Bedford Site Improvement Project. Continuation of discussion with the site improvement plan was pursued with, there was discussion in regards to an alternate plans, or to get alternate plans to help with the cost concerns for the overall project. The committee agrees to forward a recommendation to the board for approval of the Erzman to complete project management and a request for proposals for the following: the Bedford Site Improvement Project. Under new business, we had a discussion on the Annapolis High School restrooms. In particular, there was discussion on refreshing the upstairs and downstairs boys' bathrooms with additional installation of privacy panels at the urinals. The other item was the Madison building assessment. Space is getting crowded in our elementary buildings, and the superintendent is inquiring on opening Madison Elementary School for some of the district's existing programs. The superintendent has placed a request for Erzman to perform a walkthrough to meet the state of Michigan code for building requirements, and that cost would be under $5,000. There was no other business, there was no public comment. The next meeting is to be determined, and the meeting ended at 6:56 p.m. Any questions? Yes, Trustee Dyra.
I'm thrilled about the Madison building assessment, the possibility of opening that up, because we are all aware of some emails that we've received about the crowding of schools. The Annapolis auditorium air conditioning. So the money for these old projects under old business, we have money for all that, for the air conditioning and the Bedford Site Improvement Project?
Yes, so So I presented the budget, not at.
Right.
Go ahead, yes.
I presented the budget for monies left over, not left over, unspent in the building and site, I call it the sinking fund, building and site
yeah.
fund, as well as the dollars that are left over from ESSER 3.
Okay.
And last year, I made a commitment to this committee, the building and site, that those dollars should be combined to complete these projects.
Okay.
And so, one of the reasons, Mandy, I'm ready to bring this point up, with the Bedford Site Improvement Project, it was estimated that that project alone, with the scope that we had just in a brainstorm and meeting with the folks and what we kind of were looking at, and that involved building folks from Bedford as well as us, that would exceed those dollar amounts. So that's why that discussion is in there, to scale that back once we engage with Esserman to move forward. So the dollars to do these projects would be a combination of ESSER and building and site funds. The way that it is presently scoped, and these are just projections, the Bedford site project with the drawing that we have right now, that would most likely exceed those dollars. And so that's why the discussion is in here, to pull that back. But the committee, and I think I can speak for the committee, was certainly very interested in moving forward with this project and primarily separating the parking areas and the playground areas. And really and also deal with the, if you've ever been there when the school's let out, that's an issue. So some off-site drop-off kind of thing. So yes, the goal, I can't promise that at this point because these are estimates, but the goal would be to cover those two pots of money.
So possibly pulling out of that project some items that maybe we can get started on is basically where the
Yes.
thinking is. Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
Yep.
Any other questions? This time, we're going to move to superintendent recommendations. A, custodial service contract, exhibit number 3 in your packet. Be it resolved that the Board of Education approves the contract for custodial services from EnviroClean Building Maintenance as presented. The total amount, $937,160.04 for a 1-year contract. Monies would be derived from the general fund. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Windlass,
Support.
supported by Trustee Gator. Any questions or concerns? Yes, Trustee Sterlini.
So I apologize because I didn't give you a heads up and enough time to answer this. Do you know how many custodians they use?
So I don't have that
Yeah.
exact number here, but this, if we recall way back when we put the RFP out on the street, we did add additional custodial times, and this does cover that. I don't have the exact number right in front, but I can get it to you.
No, that's good. My concern, and I kind of mentioned this, we talked about this kind of in the finance, it seems like a lot of money for custodial, right? Like $1 million. I know I quickly did the numbers and it seemed to make sense to do this, but I'm still just having a hard time with this. Like us getting our own custodians in here. I think we did that back in the day. We had our own custodians, and I'm just having a hard time with this one.
Trustee Gyro.
Did have it back in the day, and at some point in time, we switched to companies because it was supposed to be cheaper because you're not paying all the benefits and what have you. But in doing so, I think it's hard. It's been hard to keep employees that they pay. It's shocking that it's almost $1 million and that the employees are paid minimum wage maybe. So I don't know. That's not our problem to solve. I do think it's a problem. But my question is, how come it's just a 1-year contract? Are they always just 1 year?
And so when the RFP was put out on the street, we went 1 year.
Just 1 year.
Yep.
And what'd you do?
because we wanted to make sure that, especially in light of, if we had a new company coming in, that they were meeting the needs of the contract. This happens to be the existing company that we have here, but in the contract it does say that we can extend it. So, yep, and can I address the pay scale as well? You don't mind?
I don't mind that at all.
Yep, wonderful. So this does include an increase that was part of the RFP so that we could be more competitive with the surrounding areas that have these services. We were way low, and that's why there was a turnaround big time. And so we're hoping that with the additional dollars that were put in the RFP and put out on the street and bid, all the companies bid this, that we'll get a little bit more stability. Now, can we guarantee that? Certainly can, but we're hoping that that will help. And the number of employees and the number of custodians, I think, is important as well, because it was my belief that we were understaffed, and so when we put that RFP together, put it out on the street, it did include the staffing levels that I feel needed to appropriately keep our buildings clean.
Can I have a follow-up question? So, to Mr. Lee's point on the cost, do you still feel that this is a cost savings to the district to do our services this way?
So I haven't done a complete analysis on that yet. We got a new maintenance person, and that would be a great project.
I don't want to assign any duties, unless this is something that the board would like to know, I know when it was done, there was a significant cost savings. I don't know, as prices have gone up, if that's the case, and I don't know if this board would even want to take on, or the superintendent would want to take on a whole custodial service again, I don't know how anybody feels about it, but I would never, unless it was a consensus of the board, say, yeah, go ahead and do that, so.
I'm ready to vote.
Oh, I thought you were going to ask something. I thought this was going to be debate. I know, okay, ready for debate?
There's no consensus on the count.
Okay, no more questions or comments. Let's go for a vote. Roll call, please.
Trustee Wentworth?
Yes.
Trustee Sterlini?
Yes.
Trustee Nyro?
Yes.
Trustee Nasser?
Yes.
Trustee Gator? Yes. Trustee Wall?
Yes, motion carries.
You're right.
B, 2023-2024 budget amendment, Exhibit 4 in your packet. Be it resolved that the Board of Education approves the amended 2023-2024 fund budget with revenues, expenditures, and fund balances noted as follows. I guess I gotta read all those.
Yes.
Okay, general fund, beginning fund balance, $14,173,933. Revenues, $36,748,896. Expenditures, $38,797,492. Fund balance is $12,125,337. For the debt, the beginning fund balance is $236,821. Revenues, $712,163. The expenditures, $700,450. The fund balance, $248,534. The sinking fund, $1,290,652. The revenues, $1,008,700. The expenditures, $1,500,000. And the fund balance would be $799,352. For the capital fund, beginning balance is $0. Revenue is $2 million. Expenditures is $0. Fund balance is $2 million. Capital projects for 2021, beginning fund balance, $4,114,130. Revenue, 0. Expenditures, $4,114,130. Fund balance, 0. For the food service, $706,438. Revenue, $1,718,973. Expenditure, $1,855,350. The fund balance, $570,061. For the student activity, beginning fund balance, $193,960. Revenue, $504,000. Expenditures, $500,000. Fund balance, $197,960.
So moved.
May I have a motion? Trustee Dyroff, supported by Trustee Winless. Any question? Yes.
So if you could look at the food service account and go all the way over and look at that fund balance, we did receive notification from the state of Michigan that that's too high. So you probably will be seeing some expenditures come through. We have to spend that money down. I know that sounds crazy, but that's what we're gonna have to do. So, yeah. We might want to get a new.
I think we got ideas.
No, I'm just kidding.
So we get things in the kitchens, right?
Yes, yeah, for equipment.
Because
Capital
last year there was a few items that they did last year to bring it down. Yes, Trustee Sterling.
So do we have to spend it on just kitchen stuff, or can it be anything to do with the lunch, like sitting?
That's a great question. I got a sense it has to be a capital projects kind of purchase. So, I mean, which I would assume would be like a new line or a new unit over here. So it has to, I'm pretty sure it has to be like capital projects.
So the reason I asked, because last year, a couple of the kids brought in their projects and said, here's what we'd like to do. One of them brought in recyclable trays, which is one of their, and then another one brought in tables, new tables. Because personally, I can't stand on lunchroom tables. I think they're terrible. I don't know why we don't have them like this, like we had back in my day. I think they're for little children, and we have grown people sitting in these seats. They're terrible. So that was a project that these kids brought, just throwing it out there. So, anyway, takes me.
All right, no more question or comments. Roll call, please.
Trustee Nasser?
Yes.
Trustee Sterlini?
Yes.
Trustee Gator? Yes. Trustee Willis?
Yes.
Trustee Dyroff?
Yes.
Trustee Wall?
Yes, motion carries. Item C, audit firms, exhibit number 5 in your packet. Be it resolved that the Board of Education approves Manor Casterson for the district's auditors for the 2024 through 2026 school years as a contractual amount of $105,000. Monies will be derived from the general fund. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Gator,
Support.
supported by Trustee Winless. Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
I had a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Is the 105,000 now for the all years? Okay, great, thank you.
Okay, roll call,
I
please.
apologize.
Trustee Dyroff?
Yes.
Trustee Nasser?
Yes.
Trustee Sterlini?
Yes.
Trustee Gator? Yes. Trustee Willis?
Yes.
Trustee Wall?
Yes, motion carries. D, summer camp registration, exhibit number 6. Be it resolved that the Board of Education approves the Dearborn Heights School District number 7 summer camp program, which runs from June 24th through August 23rd, 2024. Registrations begin on Wednesday, May 1st, 2024 at Madison Elementary School from 8:30 a.m. until 3 p.m. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Gator, supported by Trustee Was it Sterlini or Trustee Sterlini? Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Trustee Nasser?
Yes.
Trustee Sterlini?
Yes.
Trustee Gator, yes. Trustee Winless?
Yes.
Trustee Dyroff?
Yes.
Trustee Wall?
Yes, motion carries. Item E, approval of Annapolis High School drafting/CAD class field trip, exhibit number 7 in your packet. Be it resolved that the Board of Education approves the Google Code Next Labs field trip in Detroit, Michigan for the Annapolis High School drafting/CAD class on May 1st, 2024. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Dyroff,
Support.
supported by Trustee Sterlini. Question or comments? Roll call, please.
Trustee Sterlini?
Yes.
Trustee Dyroff?
Yes.
Trustee Winless?
Yes.
Trustee Gator, yes. Trustee Nasser?
Yes.
Trustee Wall?
Yes, motion carries. Item F, approval of Bedford first grade field trip, exhibit number 8 in your packet. Be it resolved that the Board of Education approves Bedford first grade field trip to the Barn Sanctuary in Chelsea, Michigan. The date has not yet been determined. May I have a motion? Moved by Trustee Sterlini,
Support.
supported by Trustee Gator. Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Trustee Sterlini?
Yes.
Trustee Dyroff?
Yes.
Trustee Winless?
Yes.
Trustee Nasser?
Yes.
Trustee Gator, yes. Trustee Wall?
Yes, motion carries. Item G, Erzman Architects, construction for Party and Polk Elementary, exhibit number 9 in your packet. Be it resolved that the Board of Education approves the site engineering, schematic design, design development, construction documents, bidding services, and construction administration for the Party and Polk Elementary Schools air conditioning project. The total cost of the project is $43,400. The funding for this service is to be paid out of the sinking fund. May I have a motion?
Support.
Moved by Trustee Sterlini, supported by Trustee Winless. Questions or comments? Roll call, please. Oh, sorry.
So I just want to be clear, the cost of this work is 43. So they would do an RFP, put it out on the street, and then come back. And I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page with that. Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Nasser?
Yes.
Trustee Gator, yes. Trustee Dyroff?
Yes.
Trustee Sterlini?
Yes.
Trustee Winless?
Yes.
Trustee Wall?
Yes, motion carries. Number H, Erzman's Architects Site Improvement for Bedford Elementary, exhibit number 10 in your packet. Be it resolved that the Board of Education approves Erzman Architects to complete all site engineering, schematic design, design development, construction documents, bidding services, and construction administration for Bedford Elementary School Site Improvement Project. The total cost of this project is $130,000. The funding for this service is to be paid out of the sinking fund. May I have a motion? Moved by Trustee Sterlini. So, I'm sorry, Trustee Nasser, sorry.
Support.
And supported by Trustee Winless. Questions or comments?
Just a similar comment. This is the cost for those services, and then they'll put together a bid package, put it out on the street.
And again, so I'm clear on that. Then it'll come back and you might have to part and parcel it up. Okay. Just so I wanted to make sure I'm understanding.
And
you. Okay,
I
gotcha.
would also check, Mr. Kleinhans, wasn't it also based upon, that number's based upon the project also, right?
Yes.
So if it's a less amount, it would not be 130,000, it'd be less for us because it's based on percent.
That is correct, and I did reach out to get clarification from Esserman on that
Okay,
specific issue.
I have a question.
yes. Trustee
When
Winless.
we go out for bid, sometimes I remember like Jason Perkins would create the bid and put the request for proposal out, and it was like a part of his job description to do that. Is this because these projects are more complicated that we need to pay somebody else to do the RFP process for us?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yep. Good question.
Questions, comments, any more? Roll call, please.
Trustee Gator, yes. Trustee Dyroff?
Yes.
Trustee Winless?
Yes.
Trustee Sterlini?
Yes.
Trustee Nasser?
Yes.
Trustee Wall?
Yes, motion carries. Item I, AP Psychology Book Purchase, exhibit number 11 in your packet. Be it resolved that the Board of Education approves the purchase of AP Psychology textbooks and teacher resources for a total cost to the district of $6,267.87. Monies will be derived from the general fund. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by trustee Winless,
Support.
supported by trustee Gator. Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Trustee Nasser?
Yes.
Trustee Dyrall?
Yes.
Trustee Winless?
Yes.
Trustee Gator, yes. Trustee Sterlini?
Yes.
Trustee Wall?
Yes, motion carries. Item J, AP Calculus book purchase. Exhibit number 12 in your packet. Be resolved that the Board of Education approves the purchase of AP Calculus textbooks for courses beginning fall of 2024 in the amount of $9,949.23. Monies will be derived from the general fund. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by trustee Winless,
Support.
supported by trustee Sterlini. Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Trustee Nasser?
Yes.
Trustee Gator, yes. Trustee Dyrall?
Yes.
Trustee Winless?
Yes.
Trustee Sterlini?
Yes.
Trustee Wall?
Yes, motion carries. Item K, MASB in-district workshop, CRM 015640, exhibit number 13 in your packet. Be it resolved that the Board of Education approves the MASB Board Self-Assessment Workshop to be held on Wednesday, April 10, 2024, at a cost to the district of $876.50. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by trustee Winless,
Support.
supported by trustee Gator. Questions or comments? Yes, trustee Dyrell.
Oops. To be from general fund.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Yep, general fund.
It'll be at here or the board office?
Board
It's just
office.
Board office, okay, thank you.
Yep.
Oh, I see that, okay.
Yes, trustee Nasser.
I know I originally agreed to this date, but it's actually Eid falls on that day, and we don't usually know until like a week or two before. So I'm gonna try to attend, but to be honest, I probably won't be able to. That's like the one day a year that like I have something really important to do. So I apologize in advance. I don't know if the meeting will be recorded or not, but I will debrief with President Hall and anyone else that I need to follow up and understand what went on.
Okay, I do want to bring that up to the board then, because the whole goal was for everybody to be there, and I will admit, I already losing here, but I even lost more here trying to get this because it was only one day. But I was like, okay, if anything's going to get pushed to May or June, I want to get people's opinion. If we're not all going to be there, do we want to reschedule this? I'm going to come around. Trustee Dyrell?
I do feel we all need to be there. If we're,
Nope,
or just we look at it by
I don't
ourselves.
think you need to explain
You know,
that.
I'm sorry.
No, I just want an answer, trustee Gator.
Yes.
I do think we all need to be there. I just hope we can find a date.
Okay, trustee Winless? Trustee Sterling? Okay, and I also feel that way too, so at this time,
I'm
trustee.
really so sorry to inconvenience like 8 people. Like that's just terrible. I really I apologize so much because that's not my intention at all. And
Okay.
it shouldn't revolve around me.
But
I
that's also
totally
understandable,
understand.
those things can happen.
I totally
also.
understand.
Sure.
I completely apologize.
Right.
So I rescind my motion.
Okay.
My second.
Rescind the motion.
Okay. All right, so at that time, yes, trustee Dyrell.
Oh, go ahead. We can take a vote on that to rescind.
Well, we didn't
And then
even vote
cancel.
to go
Oh,
through
yeah,
with it.
okay.
Right,
Do we need a new motion to cancel that?
yeah,
Yeah.
can we, anybody want to put a motion to?
A motion to table this item.
Okay, so the motion's out there to table item MASB District Workshop, supported by trustee Sterlini. Any questions or concerns, trustee
Yeah.
Dyrell?
I think you ought to check your Robert's rules of orders or how it goes, but I think when you table something, it needs to be on the next agenda. Is
You're
that
right.
what it?
That's
Yeah.
true.
So you think we'll have a decision by the next meeting?
Yeah,
So
just
we
guess
put
what
it on-
everybody's gonna get emailed tomorrow with,
Oh, okay.
please.
Just-
I'm gonna do that
Just
even
making
tonight, to
sure.
make
I wanted to
sure.
make sure we,
Yes.
okay, gotcha.
So, voting for the table?
All right, trustee Sterlini?
Yes.
Trustee Dyrall?
Yes.
Trustee Winless?
Yes.
Trustee Gator, yes. Trustee Nasser?
Yes.
Trustee Wall?
Yes. Motion carries the table. Next meeting. Item L, MASB Spring Institute in Lansing, Michigan. Be it resolved that the Board of Education authorizes the attendance of Derek Wall at the 2024 MASB Spring Institute in Lansing, Michigan, April 19th, 20th, 2024. Reimbursement will include 2 nights lodging and additional expenses compliant with board policy. Classes to be taken include CBA 290, Advanced School Law, CBA 327, Ethics in Action, CBA 246, Advanced Community Relations, and CBA 380, Effective Committee Structure. Classes are at a cost of $99 per class. Monies will be derived from the general fund. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by trustee Sterlini, supported by trustee Dyroff. Oh, I'm sorry. Moved by trustee Nasser, supported by trustee Dyroff. Any questions or comments? Well, I'm going to put one in there because there's the advanced community relations, so.
I thought that was great.
But
I almost said
unfortunately,
something,
that's-
But you shut me down last time, so I don't want to talk this time.
But unfortunately, it's afterwards, so. So I'll be able to bring things to them. Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Trustee Nasser?
Yes.
Trustee Dyroff?
Yes.
Trustee Winless?
Yes.
Trustee Gator, yes. Trustee Sterlini?
Yes.
Trustee Wall?
Yes, motion carries. Thank you. Unfinished business. Do we have any unfinished business to bring to the board? No. Okay, new business. Any new business to bring to the board? Hearing none. District Point of Pride, Mr. Kleinhans.
That's just a couple of things. Congratulations to 2 individuals. The first is goes out to Andrea Frendo. She was received the Teacher of the Month from the 8th County Commission District. So congratulations. She's a Young Fives teacher at Polk, and she was nominated by Principal Porteller for her work to go above and beyond for her students. And our Commissioner David, I'm going to mess up his name, Knizek, thank you, presented the award. And the highlight of that event, I was there, was the donuts that he brought for the Young Fives kids. It was awesome. They were like all excited. It was really cool. And then today we had a really neat presentation. And congratulations goes out to Carrie Macchio. I hope I'm saying that correct. I believe I am. She was selected today to be the Rotary Woman of the Year for her work that she does. Yes, congratulations to her. I was honored to be there as well. They had the meeting actually in Bedford Library, so it was really cool. She was there along with several of her colleagues, so it was really nice. She's a reading interventionist. She was selected and nominated. The presentation was from John Zadikian. I think we all know John. She's also presented with a resolution from Mayor Bill Bazzi from the city, indicating that today is Carrie Macchio Day. So it was really quite, yep. In fitting fashion, she said, I'm taking this honor for all the staff and for everything that we do. And I will add with this, in our last Citizens Advisory Committee, we asked the question was asked, I think, I'm not sure who posted, but our slogan is D7, right? And so there was a lengthy discussion about what does it mean to discover the D7 difference. Remember that discussion? It was a great discussion. And me being an outsider, I had, at least one of what I've observed, well, John put that in a speech today, and he said, this is what it means to discover the D7 difference. And I was unaware, but Carrie's been a tireless worker for years. She's distributed thousands of books to students. She's been involved in many programs promoting reading and early childhood literacy. She's been involved in many initiatives, just absolutely amazing. So, so now I kind of get what is discover the D7 difference. Of course, I always knew that, but this was a good example of that. And then just another quick reminder, April 8th is the in-service day that we have to make up in the state of Michigan. We have to provide so much professional development. The reason why I pointed out today is if you look around here, what's different in this room? Look right up underneath the Royals, you see that bubble light, right? And underneath this Royals, bubble light. So we're getting a presentation. Oh, there's one right over here. Thanks, Mandy. I saw you look right at it. And I didn't notice those lights that they were up until after someone pointed them out to me. But that's part of the purchase that this board committed to for the lockout smart boot system. And so we're going to roll that out to staff, not the formal training, just an overview of the program and what it means and how it works. We're going to talk about the installation of the lights. The company, they're doing the high school this week. Once the high school is done, the lighting will be completed. Then the next step is installation of the boots, the boot holders on the walls next to the doors. So that's quite a process because there's many of those that go throughout all of our buildings. And then once that's done, they're still waiting for permitting on the state for the actual, the holes in the floors and the actual boots. So we are ahead of schedule with this project, but I wanted to let everybody know that Monday will be a half day and we'll be focusing on that. We're also, the safety committee has been quite focused on student mental health, and we've worked with the counselors to develop specific protocols in dealing with students that are struggling. So we're excited to get that out, and we're also rolling out the counselor app that you guys approved. So the 8th will be a very important day for our district, and I just wanted to, I'm excited for that day because we'll be able to move forward with some of the great things that we've been doing.
Thank you. At this time, we're going to go to public comment number 2. This will be public comment on anything. If you should have any questions you'd like to bring up to the board. Remember, you do have a 5-minute limit.
And no,
Right.
No, I get to tell them that later.
Heather Sanders, 1440 May Street. I've been waiting 2 years to come up here and do this. And I don't even have any questions really, so that's sad. I did want to say it was so amazing to see all you guys have these great conversations, and even people did I lose me? Even people that didn't necessarily agree with each other did that in such a productive manner, and it was great conversation and everybody seeing each other's points. And I just want to say that it was really nice to see, and it makes me have much more faith in you guys than I've already had with this new board. But then things like this happen, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's really, really awesome up there. So I'm really happy to see that from all of you guys. I really didn't have any questions, but I really couldn't just let this go. And I felt like Derek needed some practice. So I figured it was just some small ones. And so my first question, and Derek, I can ask them and you can answer me when I'm done if that's okay with you. My first question is school of choice enrollment open now for next year? And if not, when does that open? And my next question is, do you have the official start date for summer school for the high school? Or
Is that it of your questions?
I know.
Well, no, I just want to make sure. That's all.
I know, pretty easy.
So with that, I would like to defer to Mr. Kleinhans.
Yes.
Thank you.
So school of choice window is open right now. At the last. Oh, it's not yet.
But it is listed on the website.
Okay, so it is on the website. I thought it was opened already. So 2 meetings ago, we approved I believe it was
The numbers.
Yeah, we approved the numbers, and then May 1st is the date. Thanks, Carol. So
Perfect.
I thought it was open right now, but yep. And then I don't have the date for the official start of summer school. I do know that we have to move it because of the construction over at Bedford. That's where I believe that we held.
For the high school.
For the high school, yeah, the high school. We do have to move the elementary one over here, so because of the Univet project. So, but we can get you that date.
I'm glad to wait for it. Thank you so much.
Those were tough, I'm telling you.
I felt for you there, actually. I was like, oh, I know.
Thank goodness I got Carol sitting right here.
Anybody else for a public comment? I I heard there was a list.
Well, I mean, it's nice to see those lights on the outside of the building. The neighbors are asking what those are for.
Somebody's being attentive, I like that. In case anybody here, there was comment about the lights being outside, what were they for? So it is being attentive that people are noticing some changes.
And I can say,
Yes, go ahead.
that was a question. So, one of the things that I like about this company, the Lockout Company, is when there is a situation, they look at that, and then as they're developing their programming and their planning for safe schools, they implement it. And that was one of the key points that they implemented, was to have the lights by every door. And then you train everybody, you train your students, your staff, your faculty, that if that's blinking, you go the other way. So I'm glad that they've noticed that, and then we'll put that information out as well and that's a fall training, that'll be part of the welcome back for the start of school, explaining the whole process and how it works. But I'm glad that you noticed that.
Any other public comments? If not, we're going to go to other business. There are two things I want to bring up in other business first. One of them was I'm going to go first with Mrs. Macchio from the board. We're very happy that you did receive that award. And there was something, Mr. Kleinhans did really take a lot of it. Thank you. But one of the things that I was heard about was that she's a tireless advocate for child literacy. So that itself is just amazing to hear those words. That definitely tells you a hard worker. She's done a number of reading programs, which was already mentioned, and distributing thousands of books to students. So that also tells you there's a lot going on. And then there was also a comment of several Bedford students who are fasting during Ramadan and holding true to their faith, took a moment to show their love for Mrs. Macchio by posing for a photo during what's normally their lunch break. So it's a really amazing story. So Mrs. Macchio from the board, congratulations. And the other one, which I was not aware of, somebody did bring that to me, and I will give Ms. Dyroff credit for letting me know, is today is Paraprofessional Day. I remember when I first started on the board, I had no idea what a paraprofessional was. I almost was thinking somebody who parachutes. Gotta remember, I'm older. We didn't have one when I was little. So, but I think everybody here at the board can agree that if it's not for the paraprofessionals, we wouldn't be here where we're at. So, from me, and unless anybody wants to also make any comments, I want to thank the paraprofessionals for everything they do. They are a blessing to the district, and I want to go ahead and see if anybody from the board wants to say anything. All right, so congratulations on Paraprofessional Day. And with that, any other business anybody wants to bring up?
Yes.
Yes,
or I didn't know if you wanted to do board committee updates.
Well, that's what I was going to.
Okay.
I was going to go down.
I'll bring
Right.
it up last.
For board committee updates, the building and site, of course, we did that earlier today. The only other one that we have is the Senate advisory from March 21st.
I have an update, President.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
Which?
For policy.
Okay. You want me to do her and then I'll come back to you?
Absolutely.
So thank you.
I'll do mine at the next meeting.
Oh, okay. Oh, sure. Okay, so that'll be at the next meeting. And then policy.
I don't have minutes. We just had a meeting today at 5:15. But we had an opportunity to meet our new Neola rep. Her name is Dr. Jamie Hitchcock. And also that from the committee it was recommended that I be policy chairperson. So I just wanted to let the board and the community know that. And at the following meeting, I'll have the meeting minutes prepared.
Sounds great. Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations.
Thank you. I'll do that for upcoming board meetings. Thank you.
Oh,
yeah. Yep. Thank you.
Okay, for upcoming board meetings, we have a policy committee for April 3rd at 5:15 at the board office.
That was today.
No, sorry.
Yep. And I'd be happy to announce the new one whenever I should go.
Do you want to tell now?
Yeah.
Sure.
All right. The next policy meeting is scheduled for May the 1st, which is on Wednesday at 5:15 at the board office.
then the next Citizen Advisory Committee will be April 25th at 6 p.m. at the board office. Okay, any other business to bring forward? Okay, at this time, yes, Trustee Gabriel.
So I attended a CBA last night, and while I don't have those notes prepared, I was very engaged in the Student Achievement CBA. Had a lot of great information on professional development for board members, things that impact, whether negative impact or positive impact for student achievement. So I look forward to bringing that at the next meeting.
Wonderful, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, we're going to go to kudos, and we'll start with Trustee Dyboff if she has anything.
Emily Anderson, Mary McDonald, Karen Lauer, Chad Cole, Katie Benavides, I apologize, Kelly Giles, Ariel Brown, and Carrie Hurd. Thank you so much for all your help with fifth grade transition activities. Your enthusiasm and help was greatly appreciated. To Allison Lefevre and the Book Fair volunteers from the Polk family for making the Scholastic Book Fair at Polk a fun-filled and successful event for everyone. Mrs. Lefevre and the team of volunteers set up an amazing display of hundreds of books, posters, and other items. The funds raised from the book fair make it possible to purchase new books for the library. Thank you to everyone who participated and all the volunteers who supported the Scholastic Fair Week at Polk. We could not do it without them. Thank you.
Okay, I'll go next to Mrs. Katie Schukert from Dr. Claudia Porcheller on March the 21st, 2024. Thank you, Katie, for the outstanding job you did as acting principal at Polk Elementary during my absence. I'm so grateful that you stepped up to take on this role. Your hard work and dedication to D7 has not gone unnoticed and is greatly appreciated. To Polk staff and families from Penny LeBlanc on March 22nd, 24. Did I mispronounce her last name? Okay, just checking. Thank you for making Reading Month a champion event. Your support to promote literacy is very much appreciated. A special thank you to Michelle Wilson, the Polk Champion staff, and Allison Lefevre for their extraordinary support this month. That's it for me.
Before I do the next kudos, I do want to apologize. I also want to bring out there that this is also Autism Awareness Month. So I want to thank all those that are working with autism from either home, school, or even in the work field. And I want to thank everybody for their help with that. For the kudo I have for Mr. Aaron Millette from J.B. Nasser and the Annapolis High School music students from 3/20/2024. A huge thank you for all the support and encouragement. Mr. Nasser and the students appreciate everything you do for us and allow us to do on a daily basis. Thank you for being an amazing leader and positive role model.
To Megan Sears from Jamie Nasser and the AHS Jazz Band, dated for March 20th, 2024. A huge thank you for your willingness to accompany the jazz band to MSBOA State Jazz Festival. We really appreciate you. The next one is to Polk's Dynamic Lunch Lady team from the Polk family, dated March 21st, 2024. Thank you so much for all you do to make breakfast and lunch a great experience for the kids every day. The students love the lunch themes, the incentives for good behavior, and the special way you help all of the students get what they need. Your hard work and dedication to make a wonderful difference in the lives of our kids.
This is to Jake Martinez from Brian Buchanan, dated 4/1, for assisting with the painting project to help make our athletic entrance look sharp. The other one is to Deb, is it Crocky? Okay, Crocky, from Jamie Nasser and the AHS music students, dated 3/20/24. Thank you so much for all your help. You have gone above and beyond to make sure that Mr. Nasser and the music students have been able to make their performances possible, for making sure there is sub-coverage to guiding Mr. Nasser through the process of getting a bus. Thank you so much for everything you do for us. You are amazing.
I only have one, and it's to Andy Kwame from Brian Buchanan for helping with all the dates for championship banners at AHS.
Does anybody have any kudos they want to mention? Okay. At this time, I would like to put a motion in for end of the meeting for 8:29. I'm sorry, may I have a motion?
Support.
Moved by trustee Dyroff, supported by trustee Winless. Do we have any questions or comments? If not, roll call.
Trustee Winless?
Yes.
Trustee Dyroff?
Yes.
Trustee Nasser?
Yes.
Trustee Gator, yes. Trustee Sterlini?
Yes.
Trustee Wall?
Motion, yes. Motion carries. Thank you and everybody.